Today, we're diving into a fascinating climatic puzzle, India. It's a country of incredible diversity, not just in its culture, but in its weather. We're going to uncover the secrets behind India's extreme and varied climate, from torrential rainforests all the way to bone-dry deserts. Let's get into it. So let's just start with the central mystery, the big question. How is it even possible for a single country to be home to both the wettest place on the entire planet and a massive, sprawling desert? It sounds impossible, right? But the secret is all in the geography. And this really puts it into perspective. On one side, you have Mawsynram, which gets drenched with over 2 meters of rain every single year. Then on the other side, you have the Great Indian Desert, which is lucky to see even 25 centimeters. That staggering difference exists within the same borders. It's just wild. Now, there's actually a term for this incredible variety. It's called climatic contrast. And it's basically the idea that one single area can experience a massive range of weather. And, as we've just seen, India is pretty much the perfect poster child for this concept. So what does this contrast actually look like on the ground? Well, think about it. You've got blistering heat and then freezing cold up in the northern plains. But head down south, and the temperatures are much more moderate, staying pretty stable all year round. You get heavy snow in the Himalayas, while out west, it's dry and arid. And of course, you have that famously intense rainfall in the east. It's like a continent's worth of climates all packed into one country. So how on earth does this all happen? What's pulling the strings here? Well, the answer lies with 3 massive geographical features. You can kind of think of them as the climate architects that have designed India's completely unique weather systems. So who are these architects? Let's meet them. First up, the mighty Himalayas. This colossal mountain range acts like a giant wall, and it has 2 really important jobs. First, it blocks those freezing cold winds that sweep down from Central Asia, which protects India from much, much harsher winters. Second, and this is absolutely crucial, it traps the wet monsoon winds, acting like a barrier that forces them up, making them release all their moisture as rain all over the subcontinent. Okay, our second architect is a bit of a weird one because it's an imaginary line, the Tropic of Cancer. It slices right through the middle of the country, and in doing so, it creates this fundamental climatic divide. Everything north of that line is in the North Temperate Zone, and everything south of it is in the South Tropical Zone. And believe me, this dividing line makes a huge difference. The north has what's called a continental climate. We're talking very hot summers and very cold winters, because it's so far from the calming influence of the sea. Meanwhile, the south is a peninsula, right? It's surrounded by water, which gives it a much more moderate maritime climate without those wild temperature swings. And that brings us to our third architect, the famous Indian monsoon. The name actually comes from the Arabic word for season, mawsam, and that's the key thing to remember. The monsoon isn't just rain. It's a complete seasonal 180-degree reversal of wind patterns that dictates, well, pretty much everything for millions of people. So, how does this incredible wind system actually work? Let's take a look under the hood of what is essentially a giant continent-sized heat engine. At its very core, the entire process is driven by one simple rule of physics that you probably learned in school. Hot air rises. That's it. Everything that follows is just a direct result of that one principle playing out on a massive, massive scale. All right, let's break this down step by step. First, in the summer, the huge Indian landmass heats up way faster than the oceans around it. This hot land then warms up the air right above it, causing that air to rise and create a zone of low pressure. Now, nature can't stand a vacuum, so cooler, moisture-packed air from the high-pressure area over the ocean rushes in to fill that gap. And that massive movement of wet air from the sea to the land, that right there is the monsoon. Okay, so now that we understand the engine that delivers all this rain, let's see its direct impact on the ground. Because at the end of the day, the amount of rainfall a region gets is the single biggest factor that determines what kind of plants and forests can grow there. And the link is super clear. In areas that get absolutely soaked with over 200 centimeters of rain, you find these lush tropical evergreen forests. In that middle range, say 100 to 200 centimeters, you get tropical deciduous forests. And in the really dry zones with less than 50 centimeters, you get tough-as-nails thorn forests. The connection between water and life is just that direct and powerful. And each of these forest types is perfectly adapted to its water supply. Evergreen forests stay green all year because water's never really an issue. The deciduous forests, which people also call monsoon forests, shed their leaves in the dry season to save water. And the thorn forests in places like Rajasthan have evolved these incredibly long roots and sharp spines just to survive the harsh, dry conditions. But understanding this incredible natural engine is one thing, protecting it is a whole other story. Today, India faces the urgent challenge of conserving its vital forest cover, the very thing that helps regulate this entire delicate system. And the scale of this problem is just staggering. India is losing about 1.3 million hectares of its forests every single year. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like losing a forest the size of a major city every few weeks. And this chart reveals a pretty surprising reality. Despite all its incredible biodiversity, only about 21.5% of India's land is actually covered by forest. Now, this isn't just about losing trees. It's about losing the natural infrastructure that stops soil erosion, that keeps water clean for rivers, and supports millions of people's livelihoods. So here we see the central conflict, the real dilemma. The national policy has this ambitious and very important target to get forest cover up to 33%, which is considered an ecologically stable level. But at the same time, you have this immense pressure from a rapidly growing population that needs more land for farms, cities, and roads. It's a constant battle for every square kilometer of land. And that leaves us with this final critical question. For a country whose very lifeblood, from its water to its air, is tied directly to the health of its climate and its forests, the path forward is anything but simple. As India continues to grow and develop, can it find a way to also protect the incredible natural engine that has shaped its past and will absolutely determine its future? It's the ultimate climate puzzle.